Welcome to the Fishing for a Reason podcast. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Happy Tuesday.
And if you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook, we also have this on our podcast. We have a video podcast as well on YouTube if you want to see the visuals that we show. So we're going to cut in some really cool visuals today from our adventure to Bonneville Dam. And like we mentioned last week, we returned home from Mount Shasta. We road trip down there. And on our road trip home, we were like, oh, let's go check out the Bonneville Hatchery.
Bonneville Dam, Bonneville Fish Hatchery, Bonneville Fish Ladder. It is a big operation / complex. Very, very interesting. And we spent a whole day there, basically.
We did. We were just intending on just stopping by, and it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So why visit fish hatcheries? This is actually something that you got me into. I've been to fish hatcheries, but I swear every single time we're on a road trip, if we see a sign, it's like immediate brake check and turn, go check out the hatchery. And every time we visit one, you learn something, literally every single time. It's a great thing to do. If you're by yourself, if you're a couple, if you're with a family, it's a really fun thing to do. What made you start doing that?
I've always done that just because I'm interested in the fish. And like I said, like you just said, I mean, you learn something and it's pretty cool. So I think hatcheries are an important part of our fish recovery and our salmon recovery and our salmon runs here in Washington. So anytime we can stop in and see one, and we stopped today in Salton.
We did.
And saw the Wallace River Hatchery, which was pretty fascinating. There's a bunch of big kings floating around in May Creek up there waiting to get their eggs taken and make some more fish.
Yep.
So
there were some really nice kings. Yeah. It was cool to see.
Pretty cool.
So Bonneville Dam / Bonneville Hatchery is the nicest facility I have ever been to. And if you don't know where it's at, it's right along the Oregon side of the Columbia River. Well, it's across the whole thing, but to see the hatchery, the dam's across the whole river. But to see the hatchery, you'll want to be on the Oregon side. And the hatchery was way beyond anything that we've ever seen. So you could actually see sturgeon. There's a sturgeon viewing pond, which is really cool. I mean, one of them, they named him Herman. Herman, yeah. Big Herman. He is over 80 years old, over 10 feet long, and 500 pounds. And there are a couple other sturgeon inside of that pond that are very similar to his size. So just seeing those guys, it's really cool because you can see them from up above. And then they have a little viewing window. So if you crawl down, it's like you go to the zoo and there's a glass and you can see through and actually get a good view of the sturgeon swimming by. They are massive and just so prehistoric.
Yeah, he's big.
He's a big boy.
Big boy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the sturgeon was it was a bonus to see that, the sturgeon viewing area. They have some rainbow trout ponds that you can feed the trout. They don't do much trout there, I don't think.
No.
It's mainly kings, coho, and some steelhead. Was there steelhead there too as well? Yeah. We didn't see any steelhead, but they raised some. So really pretty cool to see.
Yep. So when we got there, there's a visitor center that kind of explains everything and nice little exhibit inside. And they actually had a power plant tour that day. And so luckily we were just right on time and waited 30 minutes or so to go check out the power plant tour. And I'm going to change my background for those of you that are watching on YouTube here to get a view of what the inside of that look like. So if we move out of the way, I'll disappear. You can just see.
You can see the turbines. This powerhouse was not in operation this day. So all the water was bypassing, no electricity being made on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have 8 turbines on this one. One of them's out right there, you can see. But, based on the electricity and water demand, it all kind of dictates whether they're at full operation. At full operation, they can create, 1,200 megawatts. Any Back to Future fans? The tour guide was like, we can bring them back with enough megawatts.
So if you're a Back to Future fan, if you Google how many megawatts it took for the DeLorean time machine to travel through time, it was 1.21 gigawatts. Yeah. And the plant can produce 1.22. There you go. You can travel in time. So yeah, it was pretty impressive to get a view of the plant and also just a little bit of the history of when the plant went into operation and why, and the design of the fish ladders. So one of the other cool things that we did is we went downstairs, down the elevator actually, to go view the fish ladder. And it was fascinating to watch all of these fish coming up the ladder. There's a really cool little area where you can view different windows, which are like different steps of the ladder. And we saw shad, we saw lampreys, and we saw coho, we saw Chinook, and we saw some sockeye in there. And some of the Chinook were huge.
And there's a fish counter, and he's counting every fish that goes by. He has a window. He's got some measuring strings and marks on his window to be able to tell how big they are. And they count basically every fish that goes by. So it's pretty fascinating.
Yep. It was really interesting. So I talked to the hatchery manager. I was just curious what kind of production they do at this specific facility. And they make primarily Chinook, coho, and a little bit of steelhead. So at the hatchery, they raise what they call fall upriver bright Chinook, and they do 5.7 million of these guys per year. And then they do the Thule Lower Columbia fish. They'll raise 3.9 million. They also raise spring Chinook, 730,000 fish. Coho, they do 650,000 fish. Steelhead, they'll raise 100,000 winter steelhead and 250,000 summer steelhead. So what's really interesting is it's one of the largest production sites in Oregon. So there's one other hatchery in Oregon that produces a similar amount of fish each year, and that's the Coal Rivers Hatchery. So this was a really, really big operation, and you could tell by how clean it was. It was just very neat and tidy, really nice facility. They take really good care of it, and it's a great place to take the family if you're down there for any reason on a road trip. So one other thing that I thought was really interesting is I asked the guy, do you actually release all of the fish that you make, or do you transport them? And he said that not all the fish raised there actually get released there. They do release the Thule Fall Chinook, the 3.9 million, and they release about 250,000 out of the 650,000 coho directly from that hatchery. Everything else is transferred to other sites in Oregon, as well as some of the sites in Washington. They'll go to the acclimation ponds in Washington before they get released. Spawning does take place at the hatchery. And if you get a chance to go to the Hatchery Visitor Center, there's a great little video that shows you the process. It's not very complicated if you want to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, they basically, they collect the fish and then they kind of test them to see if they're ready to breed, basically, and to fertilize each other. They put the fish in an elevator, and the elevator has an electric ring around it, and it will actually stun the fish with an electric shock. And then they bring the big females out, and they milk the eggs out, and then they basically put the eggs in a bucket. They get a male, they bring the sperm out from the male, dump it into the bucket, mix it and fertilize it. And then it takes like 30 days for it to eye up, which I believe it was, which it then, it gets a little dot on it. And then it's a process of sorting those things. And it's pretty awesome just to see not only the facilities and the fish, but the video, and then see them raise the fish to fry stage. It was pretty cool.
Yep. There's a lot that goes into it. Even when they eye up and that egg gets that little eye, meaning that it's like successfully fertilized. The ones that are not fertile turn this opaque white color. And they have a sorter, like a machine that sorts, but a human needs to go in there and hand pick out the ones the machine misses. If they don't do that, those can
they basically rot.
They rot. Yeah. And they can kill off the rest of the babies.
It'll damage the rest of them.
So it's quite the operation of, I guess it's a labor of love to get these fish from fry all the way out to sea. And then we get to fish for them. And it's amazing to see the ones that make it back to the hatchery. I mean, we literally saw some today, and you just see them and you're like, man, the work that these guys went through to get back to where they originally were spawned is absolutely incredible. And so just a reminder, the hatchery is a really great place to visit to add a level of appreciation for this resource that we are so grateful and lucky to get to harvest.
I believe they had a whiteboard with numbers on it. I think it was close to 17,000 Chinook last year they caught and trapped at the dam. And then that'll start in August. So if you want to go see it live in action, August is when they'll start collecting eggs and stuff out of the fish.
Yep.
So
He said that's the best time to go. Actually, I think the location we went to today.
he also said August.
Yep. Come back mid-August or so,
So
and you'll see the biggest returns.
They'll start harvesting and, fertilizing eggs in August. So
Yep. And
pretty cool.
It's a fun way to just learn about the species and see it in real time of what all goes into preserving these guys.
Yeah. And it's all free.
Yeah, it's all free. And
There's no fee to go in and look at these things.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
And guys will be there. They're super happy to answer your questions. A lot of times, if you have kiddos with you, they'll give you a little pile of food to feed the fish, which is cool to see. So yeah, what are some of the close hatcheries that they can go visit at least from the San Juan Islands or Anacortes area?
Well, you got the Salmon River over on I-5. You can go check that one out. You got Monument up by Monument, past Concrete. Actually, don't pass Concrete without going to the Baker River Fish Trap in the Sockeye there to see where that's at. And then, of course, you got the Bonneville that we were just at. That's a little bit of a drive. You've got Wallace River, which we were just at. That was pretty cool. And I believe the Stilly has some hatcheries that you can go to also. And I think you could go see the guys at the Stilly tribe if you wanted to. I think they would give you a tour. So
yeah, just stop in.
Lots of options.
So have fun.
Really entertaining.
Yep. And just
interesting.
one more reminder for those of you tuning in, we have a few seats left for Salmon School. We will be closing the doors to purchasing those tickets this week. So Salmon School is this Friday. So if you are interested, make sure you email us at support@anglersunlimited.co. Subject line Salmon School, and we will get you a link. If there are tickets still available or seats still available, we'll send you that link over and you can jump in and actually learn a bit about how to catch your first Chinook. So that's what we'll be talking about.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you.
Bye.